It took me 9 years to finish my dream game. It's been a crazy journey so far, and here's how it all started. 9 years ago, I posted this video on my channel, and little did I know I'd still be working on this game 9 years later, just under a different name. So this game was an action platformer with a ton of customizations to how you play. You went into dungeons to battle enemies, there was platforming, tower defense mode, you could battle bosses, you could even have your own house and marry NPCs, and best of all, you could bet on cat races. It was also a co-op game, so I would play it with my friends and family. Although it didn't look the best, I thought it was a ton of fun, and it really encouraged me to keep working on game development and keep working on this project in particular. And so 7 years ago, I posted it on Steam Greenlight, which is how you used to get a game on Steam, and it actually went through. Oh, yeah. But at that time, I was still in school, so unfortunately the development of the game was really slow, and I had to keep reworking and changing old systems. So eventually, I decided to completely rework the project. The core game was fun, but it would get boring after a while, so I wanted a twist that would make the game stand out and to make it even more fun to play. So I made it so the player was far smaller than the enemies. This made the game more challenging and made every enemy way more intimidating. It felt like every encounter was a boss fight, which made the whole game more exciting to play. But there was still a problem. It didn't seem like there was much point in having these large enemies. Yes, the attacks were harder to dodge, but you had this giant target that was so easy to hit. And so I decided to add a weak point, and this totally changed the game. And the position of the weak point would be completely random. So now the game requires way more skill for you to position and aim properly in order to hit the weak points. After adding this one feature to my tiny prototype, I ended up playing my own game for hours. And when I shared it with other people, they really enjoyed it as well. While working on this project, I graduated high school and then university, and then I released 3 other games on Steam, and I went full-time indie. After years of working on and off on the project, I finally wanted to finish it. And so I released my first Kickstarter campaign, and after 2 months of promoting the game non-stop on my social media and posting a demo on Steam, the campaign was actually successful. So thank you so much for your support. We were even able to raise $1,000 for the Amazon Conservation Team, a non-for-profit organization which partners with indigenous and other local communities to protect tropical forests. Now, despite me continuing to reduce the scope of the game so that I could actually finish the project, it was still a huge undertaking. And so I decided to add my talented brother Simon to the team to help me with programming and design. Together, we spent a year working every day non-stop on the project. It was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun. Finally, on August 26, 2024, we released the game on Steam. The game is called Koboo the Tree Spirit, and it was really inspired by the themes of Princess Mononoke. In the game, you play as a small Kodama tree spirit, fighting these giant human hunters that came into your forest. And it's an action roguelike, so you can craft some really powerful builds and create some really strong synergies. I love games that allow you to approach combat in a lot of different ways, and so in Koboo, there's 3 different weapon types: melee, ranged, and magic weapons. Melee weapons are the most dangerous ones to use because they require you to go close to the enemy, but they can hit really hard, especially if you hit the enemy's weak points. Ranged weapons, on the other hand, allow you to attack way more safely, but it'll take a little bit longer to take down enemies. But if you hit crit spots, you'll find you can still take enemies down pretty quickly. Then there's my favorite weapon type, magic weapons, which are the most unique weapon type in the game. Each of these weapons will require different positioning and aiming in order to use properly, but they are really powerful when used correctly. They are also designed to synergize with other weapons really well. There's also dual wielding in Koboo, so you can combine any 2 weapons. When we were playtesting, a lot of people really enjoyed the magma orb, which is a weapon that passively orbits around the player, dealing damage to anything it passes through. To add even more replayability, each weapon has 4 different weapon paths that you can go down in each run. Each one of them reinforces a different playstyle for that weapon, so you can pick whichever playstyle you enjoy, or you can pick one that synergizes well with your other weapon and abilities. Throughout your run, you'll also unlock 2 animal abilities. These are powerful skills that you can charge up by attacking with your weapon. You can also upgrade these abilities further to help synergize with your playstyle. For example, the Rat Swarm ability summons a bunch of rats to attack the enemy for you, and you can upgrade it so it will summon just one giant rat that does a ton of damage, or you can make it so there's a bunch of tiny rats that will deal poison damage to the enemy. But the customization of how you approach combat doesn't stop there. My favorite recent addition to the game is weapon infusions. You can add 2 of these to any weapon and it'll give that weapon a unique and powerful buff. There's one that'll boost your attack speed every time you hit an enemy, so you can attack crazy fast. There's also one where your first hit will deal bonus damage, so you can literally one-shot enemies. There's also one where your weapon will deal more damage for every second you remain airborne, and there's a ton of ways to stay up in the air in Koboo, so it works really well. I wanted combat to feel as fun and exciting as possible. And so I added a recovery mechanic, so instead of dying on your last life, you'll have a few seconds to recover your life by defeating an enemy in time. All of these elements made combat really fun and made it so there's a lot of meaningful choices throughout your run. But I also wanted to add moments that would slow down the pace of the game at times. And so hidden in each world, there's a secret room. Inside this room, you'll discover a new character who will tell you their story, or they will reveal more about the worlds to you. Or maybe they'll perform some weird play, it kinda depends. There's even more things to do, like friendly fishing, catching bugs, as well as gardening, where you can plant endangered flower species in order to help rebuild the forest. And you will receive favor from the forest from all these activities, which you can use to further upgrade your character with new weapons, abilities, infusions, and permanent upgrades to Koboo. I designed Koboo to be fast-paced and speedrun friendly. Although it's not easy, you can beat the game pretty quickly, but that's only on a single path, and there's multiple paths you can take in Koboo. Like in a Metroidvania game, you will slowly unlock skills as you play. These are skills you'll keep forever, such as a ground slam, a glider, or even a wolf transformation skill. You can then use these skills to unlock alternate paths for Koboo, and there'll be entirely new bosses and enemies in these new paths. I also really appreciate where you can customize how you play the game and provide as many accessibility options as possible for players. So the game is fair but challenging, and so we have custom difficulty settings which you can change at any time. You can also rebind your controls and play with any controller or just keyboard and mouse. You can also change the look of your interface, the color of Koboo, well, you get the idea. The game came out pretty recently, but we've already released more than 100 quality of life changes, and we just released a massive Halloween update. There's a whole new world, final boss, and enemies, as well as a new game mode, and we also added new unlockable outfits for Koboo so you can change how he looks in game. Spooky. Ultimately, I designed Koboo to be a game that I really enjoy as a player, so I hope you guys enjoyed as well. This is a huge passion project of mine, and I want to keep updating it for as long as possible. Seriously, I would love to be able to work on games full-time for the rest of my life, so if you want to support me, check out Koboo the Tree Spirit today. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.